Todd and Julie Chrisley, the jailed reality stars, are appealing their fraud convictions in federal court. Todd and Julie Chrisley, reality TV stars imprisoned on federal charges of bank fraud and tax evasion, are appealing their convictions and sentences. The Chrisleys rose to prominence with their hit show Chrisley Knows Best, which followed the exploits of their close-knit family. Prosecutors claim they engaged in a massive bank fraud conspiracy, concealing their earnings from tax authorities while flaunting their lavish lifestyle. Peter Tarantino, the accountant they recruited, is also serving time in prison. He wants his conviction overturned and to be given a new trial. On Friday, lawyers for all three, as well as federal prosecutors, will argue before the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta. The Chrisleys were initially charged in August of 2019. In June 2022, a jury convicted them of conspiring to defraud community banks out of about $30 million in bogus loans. They were also found guilty of tax evasion and conspiracy to cheat the IRS, with Julie Chrisley convicted of wire fraud and obstruction of justice. Todd Chrisley, 56, is incarcerated at a minimum security federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida, with a release date of October 2032, while Julie Chrisley, 51, is at a facility in Lexington, Kentucky, with a release date of July 2028. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons website, Tarantino, 61, was convicted of conspiring to defraud the United States and deliberately filing fraudulent tax returns. He is being confined in a minimum security federal prison camp in Montgomery, Alabama, with a September release date next year. According to prosecutors, the Chrisleys presented phony documents to banks and obtained more than $30 million in illicit loans. When Todd Chrisley declared bankruptcy, they absolved themselves of any need to repay the loans. While in bankruptcy, they began their reality show and flaunted their wealth and lifestyle to the American public, then concealed the millions they earned from the show from the IRS. According to prosecutors, lawyers for the Chrisleys claim that an IRS officer lied on the stand about the couple owing taxes for years when she knew there were none, and that prosecutors willfully presented and failed to refute that false testimony. They also allege that the trial judge erred in allowing certain evidence without asking prosecutors to demonstrate that it was not obtained during an improper search. They further claim that prosecutors did not produce sufficient evidence to convict the Chrisleys of tax evasion and conspiracy, instead demonstrating only that they employed a typical entertainment business method to receive acting pay. They further allege that prosecutors failed to show any evidence that Julie Chrisley was involved in bank fraud. They argue that the judge erred in awarding repayment and asset confiscation. Todd Chrisley's lawyers argue that he should be acquitted of tax evasion and conspiracy charges and given a fresh trial on the remaining counts. Alternatively, the appeals court should remand the matter to the trial court for a hearing on his allegations that the IRS officer lied and evidence was unlawfully introduced. Julie Chrisley's lawyers contend that she should be acquitted on all 5 bank fraud counts. They also argue that her sentence on the other offenses, including the $17.2 million in reparations she and her husband were required to pay, should be overturned and she be resentenced on those counts. Prosecutors contend that there was sufficient evidence at trial to support the charges and jury findings, and that the evidence was properly gathered and allowed. They argued that the judge was correct in denying an evidentiary hearing or a new trial based on the Chrisleys' claims that the IRS agent lied, stating that the agent testified to the best of her knowledge. A lawyer for Tarantino stated in an appeals court file that his client was damaged by being prosecuted alongside the Chrisleys, and he requested the court to overturn Tarantino's conviction and return his case to the lower court for a new trial. While Tarantino did things that helped the Chrisleys commit fraud, there was no evidence that he did it on purpose. Jurors became confused and biased. According to his counsel, this resulted in all 3 defendants being convicted on all counts. Prosecutors claim there is substantial evidence indicating Tarantino's personal involvement, and he cannot demonstrate actual, compelling proof that he was hurt by being tried alongside the Chrisleys.